Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining me today for Medicare on Mondays with Grace Marie Horan, the Medicare Whisperer. The topic today will be about Medicare and will they cover home care aides in your home. I will be discussing the Medicare portion of the podcast. I'll be going over the Medicare benefits, and I have a special guest today, Maggie Gonzalez, with me. Thank you, Maggie, for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
Maggie is an MLT specialist. She's been in the field for 14 years, and that is a manager of long-term care services for the New York area. She will discuss the program, which is Medicaid-based. So Medicare covers a limited amount of coverage when you first come home from the hospital, rehab, or a psychiatric hospital. They will give you a little bit of coverage when you come home to help you make the transition into your home. But in general, Medicare will not give you aids. So if you have a Medicare Advantage plan, a Part C, the summary of benefits will tell you whether your plan does cover some home care aids. Some of the original Medicare Advantage plan do cover aids, but it goes by your service area and how many hours they will give you. You have to read the summary of benefits. So if that's important to you, that's something we go over when we help sign you up. There are chronic Medicare Advantage plans. That's for somebody who has a chronic illness. If you have a chronic illness, you may be eligible to have some aides come in your house. And then the other Medicare Advantage plan is called a dual or a SNP. That's when somebody has Medicare/Medicaid and they're eligible due to their income. So when you're in those plans, they offer some aides to come in the house and assist you. Again, everybody goes by the service area. We have to look and see who gives the most benefits for the aides to come in. So Medicaid is a low-income program. It's funded by the federal government, is Medicare, but Medicaid is federal and state. So it goes by the state that you live in as to what level of care you will get and the income guidelines that they are using to help see if you qualify. So since it's financially based, each state has a different income guideline, and then you can see if you qualify. So on our resource page, we have the Medicare Savings Program literature that will tell you if you qualify for Medicaid. There's 3 different levels in Medicare that are Medicaid based. There's a QI, a qualified individual. That means you have a certain income, and then you'll qualify for your Part B premium to be paid for you, and then you qualify for your Part D to be paid, a certain portion, and cost of your medications to be lowered. If you qualify for a program called QMB, and that's income-based, they will cover your Medicare, and then they will cover the copays that go with the Medicare. So the plans that you're qualified for, that would be a dual, you would qualify for that. And they're not looking at your assets in either one of those programs. They're just looking at our income. And then full Medicaid looks at our assets and our income, and that's the dual based. But the income information is there for New York on the website. You can look if you're in another state to check your guidelines. So, Maggie, we'd like to go over the goal for the MLTCs. What is the goal of an MLTC?
So the goal is to keep our seniors that need long-term care services more than 120 days. Those services would include help with activities of daily living, such as dressing, bathing, meal preparation. So many times seniors don't want to go to an assisted living to get these programs, these services. So they want to remain in the home. So if you qualify for Community Medicaid and you enroll into a managed long-term care plan, you will be able to get those services depending on your level of care. You may qualify for 3 hours a day or a live-in. It all depends on the plan of care that's decided once you have your assessment.
And what actually is an MLTC?
An MLTC is a managed long-term care program. It's designed to help seniors age in place at home with the supportive services to do so.
And who qualifies?
So you must be 65 years or older, or 21 and older with a disability, and have Community Medicaid in place.
And why do they choose the MLTCs?
So families and consumers choose MLTC services To reduce caregiver stress. A lot of times, if you have a loved one, a family member at home, and families are caring for them, there's a stress level there. And if you can get community Medicaid and MLTC services in place, then that sort of reduces those stressors for the family. Families can go back to being, daughter, son, cousin, brother, sister, instead of being a caregiver. So it really helps families.
And how do they start the process?
So the first thing to do is to qualify for community Medicaid. And there's a misconception. Some people think they don't qualify because they make too much money, but there are other services that you can get involved, such as a pooled trust, but that's another podcast. But qualify for community Medicaid, and then you have to receive an assessment from New York State, which is called NIA. It's a New York State Independent Assessment. That assessment is to ensure qualification that you will qualify for the Managed Long-Term Care Program. Once that is completed, you will make a referral to a Managed Long-Term Care that services your area. And once that is done, you'll receive an assessment by a nurse, a plan of care is created, and then you will be granted whatever you qualify for. It could be 3 hours a day, 7 days a week. It all depends on the services that are needed.
And explain the recertification process.
So what's great about, and which I failed to mention, is you would be, when you enroll in our program, or a managed long-term care program, you'll be assigned a case manager. And the case manager will ensure that you have your recertification. Recertifications are 6 months to a year, depending on the area. But again, the case manager will ensure that your certifications are done, so there are no lapse in care for your managed long-term care plan.
And these plans are just like in Medicare, done by the service area.
Correct. Depending on the service area or where you live, depends on the managed long-term care plan that you can enroll in.
Is it done by zip codes?
No, it's done by county.
So mine are zip codes, not always county.
Yeah, so there are some managed long-term care plans that would service Brooklyn, Queens, Manhattan, and the Bronx, and Nassau and Suffolk, and not Staten Island, or vice versa. So it really depends on the managed long-term care plan and the county that you live in.
So if anybody has any questions, please reach out to me with Grace at Senior Health Plan Specialist, or call the office at 631-933-1888 if you have any questions for myself and Maggie, and we'll be willing to get back to you, and we're happy to help you and guide you. So please join me on May 18th, the Monday, for Medicare on Mondays. My special guest will be Lauren Velakos, the Executive Director of ADRC, the Alzheimer's Disease Resource Center, and we will be discussing the world of dementia care and learn about resources for caregivers. So thank you for joining us today, and hope you have a wonderful day. Bye.
Thank you.